¿Qué hubo? ¿Qué vamos a hacer? ¿Qué misión vamos a producir? ¿Qué cualidad? Miren, ¿qué cualidad vamos nosotros a diseñar? ¿Qué cualidad es esta? La del que hace cositas. ¿Qué cosas vamos a hacer? Vamos a hacer esta cosa que es de diseño. ¿Diseño de qué cosa? Diseño del lenguaje. ¿Cómo sucede ese diseño del lenguaje? ¿Cómo yo puedo diseñar esto? ¿Cómo yo le puedo diseñar a esto? ¿Cómo se llama eso? Esto se llama pi. ¿Qué vamos nosotros a hacer? Esta cosa de acá. a tirar código. Vamos a tirar código. ¿De qué cosa? Código que pinta cositas en donde. Código que tira cositas en donde. El coso que tira magia en este sitio. ¿Qué es? What? Sorry. We want to implement in order to change and modify the current experience of life. How we approach this notion of mentality. What can we do? What can we do? We can transform that thing. What do you think? What is the thing? What kind of behavior we want to implement in the present time? How we can achieve a perception about the mind? How I can achieve a perception about the mind? I can create this expression of mentality. And what is this expression of mentality? This expression of mentality is nothing else but the ability to change data emotion. How we can transform the motion of this data. We can transform the motion of this data by annexing and detailing a behavior. What kind of behavior we want to define in this place? We want to use a very particular interactional rules that we already defined in this folder. In this folder I created this folder I created when I was working at the beginning of the project. When I was working at the beginning of the project, I noticed that if I can implement a model capable to change the current position of the words in this place that we call computer to another computer that we call server, and establish a communication capable to modify each other look at this, each other component, and how each other component is modified by defining rules of how the behavior of computers are built. And how computers are built. Computers are built when you define a more descriptive way. And how is this description? We want to modify this particular element. And this particular element is the address in memory of this computer, of my computer, which is composed of qualities related about more descriptive meanings like lie, electronics, logic, computer language, text, and visuals and pixels. That's what we're modifying. That's the rules that we're modifying. And how we modify those rules? We modify those rules if we transform and alter the properties of qualities, and these qualities can be modified when I establish this composition. This composition happens when I define code. And what code we're going to define right here? We're going to define a property loaded and related with the expression, synthesis, and modulation of this structure, and how this structure is defined. This structure is defined when I set the rules when the key is pressed. When the key is pressed, the motion happens. Yeah. And what motions I want to implement? I want to implement a particular rule. How to visualize this text that I input in German to English. If I can use this traduction of languages in order to make mechanic games mechanical games capable to transform how we think and how we define values, how we can define values. Because if we want to define values, we need to think in code. In what code I want to define? What code I want to define? I want to define this code. This code is what? This code is establish a communication, how I can paint letters. Show me how to paint words that explode. You know, like fireworks. 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 Those the pólvora. Those how I can say pólvora. Powder. Powder is powder. How powder I say? Yeah, powder. When you use powder in those rockets and then you shoot it to the space and then boom. That's what I want to do with these words, with these letters. I want to make those fireworks boom. And how this can be boom. This can be boom, 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 boom. This can be boom when I define a property. And this property is when these squares are unified, these squares are collected in a place, and we define this as a letter. And these squares, they're not going to explode from its center, because a center is a circle, it's a point, it's a circle, and I can shoot it. I can shoot those squares through space and then make it vanish. How I can make that thing happen? How I can banish this property? How I can banish how this structure is defined? I can banish this place. I can banish this place if I can do this, if I can detail this component. And this component is related with something like this. We need to make people think about games of things happening, voices, lights, games, interactions that you can put in motion and then learn about that thing. Because that's the main idea of this: learn about things and learn about details and explaining and talk to each other to make things happen. But the thing is not happening in the way I want to happen. And why is this happening? Why is this? What this shift of data make us detail this property in a very particular motion? How we can define this? I need to define letters, and letters are defined in this what? In these letters are defined in this okay, this thing is showing me something. This thing is showing me what I need to look at this. Look at this game. This is a minigame called minigame. That's how this thing is called. This thing's called minigame. And what this game is capable to do. We can do this thing. And this thing is what? This thing is make this always true. Because this, if this is true, this is happening. Then this, if this is yes, give me this. Look, because at least has just 0 elements. If you make this thing evaluate in a direction in the line of the real numbers, we notice that -1 is okay. You get the idea. And what else we can do? We define this, and then we do what? We define how make this I'll make this. This true. Look at this. This thing is moving. This thing is moving. My God, this thing is so fast. This thing is so powerful, man. And what else we can do? What else we want to do? We want to use this move. And what is this move, my friend? What is this property? This property is nothing else but this thing. And this thing is make the shaders move. And what is the shader with this thing moving? What is this shader capable to make the thing happen? Is this code? Look at this. This code is the code we want to use. This code we want to use. And why we want to use this code to define a particular. We want to use code to make this particular thing happen, because code can be points. Letters can be points. Code could be point. Code could mean whatever you want to mean. Code could be whatever. Could be everything. Could be each thing, each particular detail in the reality. Could be each element, each object, each solution. Each solution could be defined in this property. Or maybe I'm overreacting. I don't know. Maybe I'm just overreacting. But I like to act, man. If I'm acting, how I can define a letter? I already defined a letter, but I don't like how this letter was defined. How I can define this letter better? I need to make the letter explode, so I need dots. I need dots capable to move through space. You like that thing? You like that thing? Tell me that you like it. Tell me that you like it. Because if you like it, I like it, man. And how do you think it be translated? Precision of language. And this precision of language could be detailed. This precision of language could be detailed if I use what? Position. La position of language. ¿Qué necesito yo con esto? Esto necesito que yo me retorne. Píntame, me vas a pintar qué cosa, me vas a pintar la emoción. ¿Qué emoción es esa? Yo necesito que tú me pintes una web. Estoy en el avión, estoy en un jet. In a G5, I'm in a G5, man. I'm flying, I'm exploding in mentality, man. You can't notice what I'm doing. You can't notice. Look at this. I'm in this place and I'm proposing this posing motion. What kind of motion I want to define? What kind of quality? What kind of mentality? What kind of roots of business I can define? Position of language. What is this position? It is an X and a Y. This is an X and a Y. And what this thing do? This thing do the next thing. What is this thing? I need a motion. What is this motion? This motion is a particular set of notion. What is this vision of composition of definition of recognition? Learn that mission. What are we doing, right? We translated. Why we translated what? We translated mind, man. We translated mind, and when we translated mind, we can do whatever we want, and we were doing well thing. We're doing a composition of details, and this value is called, what is this called? This value is called mission. Mission. Make this color. Make this color happen. And that thing, this is the 1 and this is the 2. Yes, this is the 1 and this is the 2. And what we're doing better, this is the 0 and this is the 1. Because if we're imputing this, we're imputing in computing computed. With imputed and computed, outputed. And what we're doing when we're imputing and outputting data, when we're imputing and outputting data, we use this data in the next state of mind. We use this data in the next state of mind. What we can do in this time, we want to make this right, this fine. How this could be alright. Show me what this is in your mind. Show me what this is in your eyes. Show me what are you thinking, what you improving, what you look at this. We got this float and we want to make this. Hey man, I got a position that I need to say that thing is running, man. That thing is being colored. Because if that thing is not being colored, color that thing. Because I need that thing being colored. In this color could change the motion. This is just a game, my friend. I'm just overreacting, man. I'm just overreacting. And how do you overreact that thing? I react over that thing when I do this thing, man. When I say, hey man, hey buddy, I got a thing for you, man. I got a solution, I got a property that I don't know, man, but the property could be defined very, very precisely, but if you don't like, man, I don't have a shit to say, but to say, what you don't do in that thing, man? What are you don't do in that thing? What thing are you trying to say? Hey, man, I make this thing color happen in a position. Yeah. So you got a position. What kind of position you're talking about? Like talking about a position that you want to position the letter, because the letter need to be positioned in a place. Man, the letter need to be positioned. If I want to position the letter in look at this in the symbol of mentality, I can position the letter here. I can position the letter here. I can position the letter here. I can position the letter. Oh my God, this thing is like a symbol. Look at this. I want to make, look at this, this is happening. No, come on, show me the colore, What kind of colore you talking? I'm talking the colore, the colore of the language. I'm talking about the explanation of the human mentality, and this mentality is completely based in a property well sign defined, and this sign defined of property happens in a place, in this position in a space. Oh my God, that's so neat, man. What is this position of a space, man? What is this position of space? Okay. I'm talking about a coordinada. What is a coordinada? Coordinada is how I can say coordinada, like Cartesian coordinates. You know what Cartesian coordinates? Yeah, you know what is a coordinada. You know the meaning of coordinada. And coordinada, what can do? Coordinada will tell us, hey man, where you want to position this where you want to position this, where you want to position this coordinate, this letter is going to be called what a letter I want to synthesize. I want to synthesize the letter A. Letter A. Okay, I got what you're saying. I get what you say. And what I'm saying is I got a letter, man. And this letter is capable to do whatever you want. This letter could do whatever you want, man. This letter can mean whatever you want. This letter is placed in a coordinate. So, what coordinate do you want to place this letter? What coordinate do you want to place this letter? This letter is then going to be positioned. This letter is going to be positioned in a space. And what space are you talking? What space are you talking, my friend? What space you're talking, buddy? What space? Show me what your space is. Show me what your space is. Show me what you got. I got this position. Look at this position, this motion, this complexion, this characterization, this description, this what else? What else? I got a coordinate. In this coordinate, what dots define this coordinate? No, what dots? What? How I can make this happen? Position, and then when I make this thing change, make that thing explode. And you do that when you say explode. And what the hell are you talking about, man? What the hell are you talking about, man? What you're saying to me is that you can make this thing explode when you press a key. That's what you're saying. And then you were to do when say how that thing could happen. What are you really trying to say? Because I believe that you get something wrong. I believe that you can do this because I imagine a position that don't match with the thing that you're saying. Because the thing that you're saying is not I don't believe that very well defined. This thing that you're saying, I don't think that is very well defined. Let me show you, my friend. Let me show you what can I do if I can position the thing that I want in the place that I want to position it. And what is this thing? What is this thing? This thing is going to explode. Is this thing? Look at this. Is this thing? Is explode? Is minor? Is minor or equal? Minor or equal to what? Is minor of equal to what? What's that? What did you say, man? Explode minor what? In phi, if minor of 1. If f minor of 1, if f minor of 1, if this thing is less than 1, if less than 1, what you can do? If this thing is less than 1, what you can do? You can define this rule, and this rule is set when I say, hey man, this thing is less than this. If this thing is less than this, you're going to do this. You're going to say, hey man, I got something to you. You're not going to make that thing change. Okay. If that thing is happening like this, you're going to make this move. What is this move? You're going to define, look at this, you define the letter. How the letter is going to be defined? The letter is going to be defined like this. You're going to say, hey, what you doing? I'm doing this thing, and this thing is that I got a number that always, that I got a position of a number that is going to always happen. Yeah, it will always happen because there's only two possibilities. So they happen of here or here, of an error in the middle, but you guarantee that when your code is running, that thing wouldn't happen. Wouldn't happen. This thing wouldn't happen because you verify the code happening. Yeah, you verify the code happening. And a lot, the idea of this is that a lot of people watch the code happen, and how this code happen. If this thing is this or this. And what are you going to do when you get that thing being this or this? You're going to make the next proposition. You're going to achieve the next proposition. And this proposition is called what? This proposition is called what? This proposition is called what? This proposition is called, hey man, make that thing explode, and that thing explode when it's already been defined as a letter, and this letter is defined when I do this thing. Position the coordinates we set a square. Show me which square is that square. Show me what square is that square. This square is a square with the basis with the first dot that define the square in the left, right, and the next position of the square in the bottom left, and in the right, and the upright. Yeah, the upright. Yeah. And we got the position being displayed. And how we can define this position? This position is displayed. We not say man. When I say put a limit, define a limit, and then paint the limit, paint the picture, paint the square, make the square happen. You could make the square happen. The square happen when I do what? When I do this thing. When I do this thing is define the square of the position that you want to limit. This is a flow to position motion. This position motion is called what? This position motion is called what? This position motion is called coordinata. I can say this, or I can say this or this. I can say that this or this. What do you want to say here? I want to define the square. And the square is going to be defined when I say this point at the limit of the word. What is going to be the size of the word? The size of the word, I believe that is going to be like, I don't know, maybe a rule of from 0 to 1. That's a good rule. That I feel that it could be better rule, but it makes me full in the space, so it's just what I need, and I'm going to use that position of position when I say the first coordinate. This first coordinate is here, and I say coordinate position in motion or position square. This position square is what? Is the limit of the left button, and I'm going to need to the right button, the right left, the right up, the right up, the right up, right up, left, right, left down, left button, left button, right up, button, left, right, left button, the square. It's a square, man. It's a square, man. It's a square, and this square is going to be like this position plus a limit, and this limit is 0, 1 and 0, 1. 0, 1, that's a big letter. 0, 5 and 0, 5. Show me how it's 0, 5 and 0, 5. Position square right, left, right, left, position right, position square right. What is this position square right? What is this position square right? Position square right. Position square right. This position square right is going to be, call it 0, 5, and 0.5. That's, and then you're going to say, if this thing, if is in these limits, if this x is minor, less, or equal than the position square left plus position square. No. Is coordenada plus 0.05. What is the thing? What is the thing? This thing is then going to be called what? What is this going to be called? This going to is if you realize a position square right in square right. If it's, but you can say that you need to say in x in y, because this thing just works. I believe if I can create a method and use this symbol and another symbol, we can define this property. But right now we don't think about this. We need to think to make this code happen, and how this thing is happen. Square left right. You need to do this because this thing need to be positioned in a space in two dots, into coordinates, the x coordinate and the y coordinate. You need to add to the axis, the x axis and the y axis in the coordinates of the dot that you place it, to where you want to place the letter. The letter is going to be placed in position square right. That y is less, yeah, that thing. And then you're going to add another position. You need to add another position. You need to add the other limits. You don't want to the thing go out from the limits. And how do you say this thing? You can say this thing if you translate this position to this thing. Greater or equal than what? Greater or equal than what? Then position is square position. Position, where is the other position? Position, and you bet, yeah, position, square left. That's what you're talking, man. That's what we're doing here. That's what we're doing here in order to explain. The next property. The next property is how this is called. A ver, ¿qué vamos a hacer aquí? I want to define this property like this. How I can define this property? Very nice. If this thing is like this, you're going to say, if this thing is like this, you're always going to return draw or not draw. How I can say draw? If I say the method to draw, if I say the method to happen, you make the method happen. But I need to make this a rule. So this rule is then going to be called always return positive. You're always going to return positive. Yeah, because if this thing is set positive, like always, if you pass me things, oh man, if you pass to me things, I will draw it, man. If you pass me things, I will draw it. I don't think what you say, but if you pass me things, I will draw it, man. And how I can say that? I can say that if I use this component to use the pixel as a criteria. A criteria of what? A criteria of 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 a kind of solution, a kind of resolution. What kind of mentality, what kind of thinking you're talking about, what property, what relation with the concept you want to define. I need to say, hey, if I draw that thing, that's what I want. If you say to me, write that thing, I will write that thing. That's what I will do if you make this thing happen. Yeah. And if you want to make this happen, if this thing happen, you're going to say, just paint things with this method. And this thing paint, when I say I got squares, I need squares, position squares in different space, so I can trace those squares and move those points in particular in new rules, and transform those rules with your particular quality with your particular ability to modify the whole existence. How you can do this? You can do this if you if you generate this. And what are you going to generate? You're going to generate a square. You're going to generate a square where you want to put limits of this always paints. So if this always paints, this always will give dots will always paint pixels in the screen. If this cause this is based with what property? This property is built with this mentality, with this expression of thinking. This expression of thinking is based with what? This expression of thinking is based with what? If the point is less and less than what you do, you get set a limit. Set a limit of the points that you want to dot, and then you're going to use squares inside the squares, because you paint pictures in pixels, squares inside the squares, into squares. You could do this if you say, if this is greater than this, you can return what? You're going to paint another method. In this method, it's the pixel. In the pixel, we know that we have a method. If you want to me to define this method, I could explain this. I can explain this method, and this method is happening where punto method is this method that we want to use here. This method, how could be defined? This method could be defined when I say, man, I need this. Again, the picture, inside the picture, into the picture, within the picture, raise it into the picture, getting into the picture, burning into the picture. You get the idea. And the idea is you want to define this method. And how you want to define this method? Because if this thing is happening here, you say a limit. The limit, you just need to say the limit where you want to pass the square, and I want to pass a line of square. So you're going to give me, okay, so I want a return. Give me a return. Take me to the place where this thing is happening. Take me the place to this thing happening. But it's only happening when I define code. When I define code properly and I see the book, I want to see the book. I want to see the book happening. But if I don't see the book happening, I need to make it. What I need to make here, the book happening, the error that I want to solve. Okay, I want to see the solution, because you're going to pick this thing of here. This thing of here is this thing. Show me that what you're saying is not true. this method. Look at this, I name it the same. That's pretty convenient, don't you think? Okay. What show me you pass this thing. If this thing is this thing, you paint. But so I want to paint a square here, and where you want to paint another square. If this thing if this thing, how I get outside? If this thing is less than equal, then when I return 0.5. Okay, so here's where it returns, and I need to say again the return. If I need to say it, that's no problem. It's no problem. And you say, let that thing square. Don't make that thing move. I still make that thing. And so I want to use this property. This property is, if you get into this place, because this thing is not happening, you always return. If this thing is not happening, you will go. You always guarantees an output, and this output is this. Yeah, this is the output. If this is not happening, this is happening. Oh yeah, this is happening or this is happening. Okay, I want to draw a point using this method, because you got a mission to believe me in how I set this interaction with the machine. Okay, and this happens when I say I will return a position. You can even return things here. And you will make this negative. Okay, you will say this negative. You return always a position. Always is returning a position in a point. Return, get out. Return, get out. Return, get out. Return, get out. Get out. Get out. Get out. Get out to the super. Get out to the super. I'm living into a movie. And when I'm getting into the movie, what I can achieve is that this method, this point method, define a rule, and I want to define a lot of these methods, because these methods are the pixel. Just that thing is just that thing. And how I can define this pixel? How I can define this pixel? Can define this pixel if I say that, and if I say what? Yeah, that's just to do this. I need to do this happening. What is this happening? If letter A, if with what? With what do you want to say? You want to populate. With what things do you want to populate this method? This method is then going to be defined using the relation with the details. And the details are explode. You're going to say this is going to explode, or this thing is not going to explode. And you say explode. When you're going to say explode when it's 0.5, but you don't want the thing to explode, because if this thing explodes, the method will return things that you don't want to return. So you're going to say +1. Yeah, you get a thing, and then you're gonna say letter A, but you don't need that. You need more things to populate that thing. What are other things you need? What are things you need to use to populate this thing? What things? What things you need to use to populate this thing? The coordinates in a space. What coordinates do you want to use in this place? What coordinates do you want to use in this place in order to transform and modify the behavior of your thinking? Because your thinking is very roller. Very roller. Your rules are very particular. Your rules are something, nothing else but particular. And how do you do this? You're going to use this quality. And this quality is a position in space of screen space. This screen space could define a rule. And what is rule you want to define? I want to define this rule. This rule is then going to be defined like this. This rule is then going to be defined like this. And what is this thing? What is this thing? What is this thing? What is this thing? Give me this point in a position in a space, like here, like where? Like here? We want to position things like here, and this is like 0, 2 from here in x-axis, and then a 0.8 in the y-axis. Okay, I can position that thing in this space, in the other space. 0.2, like 0.2, like 0.1, like 0.2, and 0.8. Yeah, that's the number. That's the number. And you will say, man, I need to position that in coordinates. Coordinates letter A. Letter A is then going to be defined like this. And where is letter A? Letter A is then going to be called like UB, and then what else is going to be explode. Yeah. You see, this thing is less than this thing. You're going to return a fixed. No, you're going to call. You're going to look at this. I always paint these things in one over the other. And you say this motion. When you say amen, I want to return another color. After all the thing are draw. After all the thing, we can define more conditions that trace limit, but right now the thing's working and I want to make this thing work. And these things work when I say fixed for, because a color colors are based in 4 coordinates, RGB, R green and blue, RGB, and A alpha is opacity, and how opacity is the color, and we always say alpha to 1 because we want to draw. When we want to draw, you always say 1. Okay, and what else? What color we want to do? We want to do this color. This color is picky to June. Oh man, no, that's okay. Look at this. No. John. Okay, you're You're going to make me that thing? I don't have a problem, man. I don't have a problem, man. Two, 5, 1. 2, 5, 1. You're defined. 2, 2. You're drawing things, but you're always returning this thing. So you need to be able to define this property. What is this property? You want to define color. You want to define the dot inside the dot. You want to make this dot happen. So you're going to copy this. You're going to copy this. And how this is copied? This is copied when I did this. And I say, hey man, change. And this is change. What is the change? Look at this. This change is this. This change is this change. This change is this change. This change is this change. True. This change is this change. Hey man. Draw. What you can do that? Oh. You're going to make me do this. You're going to make me use abilities. Look what this ability is capable to do. Show. This ability is capable to trace this thing and say copy. Say copy and then do what? You're going to do this. No. Wait. Yes, here. Hey, you want to do this. You want to do this. And when you say this, you say the power. The power is you can define the most beautiful ability. And what is this ability you want to define? What is this ability you want to define? I want to define... Look at this. You delete this. You want to define this, but this thing is returning things badly. What is this? Why is this thing at this thing? The dot is positioned here. Look at this. The dot is positioned here. The dot is positioned here, and we want to enable this method. It's called this connectivity. I want to define this connectivity better. And how we can define this connectivity better? We can define this connectivity better if we use this rule. How this rule is set? This rule is set. This rule is set when I know that this returns things, and I know that this thing could be drawn. Okay, and we want to implement the things in 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 back engineer, back engineer, reverse engineer, and how we use this reverse engineer. We use this reverse engineer if we do what? If we do the rules, if we make the rules happen, because we want to define a lot of squares, and how we know that we make this thing happen when we say, hey, can you do that thing? Yes. Look at this. Look how I say that thing. You're going to say, man, hey man, if you're returning this, it means that you return something. Else, you return this thing. Yeah, I fix it, man. I fix it. Position left, sorry. Position left, Y. Oh, X, and Y. Yeah. What are we doing? We implemented a different coordinates. We're using a rule that we are not visualizing. Position square right. How I draw a bigger square capable to contain the minor square. The minor square is defined here. Here. It's here, it's positioning here. And I say, draw this thing, then, sorry, my bad is that I didn't set this thing in the way that this thing want to be evaluated. And how this thing want to be evaluated? This thing want to be evaluated when I say this. 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 What are you doing? What are you doing, my friend? What are you doing? I'm trying. Traduction. I'm not evaluating. Yes, I'm evaluating. I'm evaluating. How am I evaluating this thing? I say the x coordinates plus the bigger square is just this. Yeah. The bigger square is just this. It's just this thing. But bigger. Yeah. This thing's bigger when you do what? You do what? you do what? I translate the coordinates of x plus the position where I want to use, and then I set the bounds. The bounds I need to be is less the is less than the okay, yeah, I made that thing. Is less than the x, is less than the y, but you're what you're doing, you're using the coordinates, and then you position yourself in the coordinates. Okay, you position yourself in the coordinates, so you need to be higher than this and less than this, It's a bigger square, man. It's just a bigger square. 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 How I can make this bigger square? A traduction of what? Square right. Here. Maybe this is not setting. Maybe if I say okay, how you can translate those things to the other place? Less, and yeah, I'm doing that. Why you're not returning? Why? Esa es la X, es la Y, de estas coordenadas, de las dos coordenadas. Coordenada más punto es un cuadrado. Yeah, it's a square. Why you're not behaving the way I want to behave? Why? Look at this. I just can paste that thing, and this thing will return y. Look at this. I say this, that thing. Dot is being square. I want to define this square. I just want to define this square. Why this is not evaluating? This x need to be less than this x. This x is these coordinates plus a limit, maybe I'm not Why is this not happening? Why? The X is here, the X is here, the Y is here, the Y is here. You're evaluating, and you're evaluating. Can I know that you're... How I know that these things been true? Coordenadas de X más el extremo. Eso es lo mismo que si yo hiciera esto. Quiere ver. Eso es lo mismo que yo hiciera esto. ¿Cierto? Y a esto es lo mismo que si yo le llamara a esto. Es que seguro es porque no le estoy dividiendo por esa constante. Pero mire, si yo guardo esto así. 133. 133. ¿Dónde es que estás? Cierto. Es que no le estoy dividiendo por esa constante. Tienen que dividirme eso por esa constante. Ahí fue. Ahí nos fuimos. ¡Chan! ¿Cuál es? La X, ¿cierto? ¿Pero la X de qué? Las dos. No, nada más de la otra. ¿Por qué de la otra? Porque es cuánto esto está sumando el cambio. Es un punto más el cambio, ¿cierto? Entonces es de esta. Pero nada más en la X, ¿cierto? Eso usted hace así. ¿Y a usted qué espera de que hiciera? Coordenada más esto. Esto se está operando. Estoy sacando el algoritmo, el derecho. I'm obtaining the algorithm, because if I'm not able to obtain the algorithm, I can be able to qualify this translation of positions. Coordenada. Why you're not? Sure. Why you're not behaving? Position left. No. No. Position left. You can translate this thing to this thing, to this place, and just set these rules right here. And you're going to say, hey man. The right, the UV is less. You want to draw. You want to draw points. And how do you draw those points? I draw those points when I use this rule. Position the x of this transaction. Oh man, that's why it's not behaving. Because this traduction, I need to share another traduction. I need to set this traduction, and this traduction is upon two coordinates. Coordinata. To translate, you're going to translate float to translated. Translated. You're going to use this and set this, and they set this to this. Set traduction. I need to write code that I can read. I could read that code. I know. I don't know. The X and the Y. In the Y. In the Y. In the Y. I need to use the X and the Y. The X and the Y. You're going to return that thing. Yep. Yeah, you're going to return that thing, don't you? Yeah, you're going to return that thing. Very well fine. And I say, yeah. ¿Cómo yo hago esta cosa? Y in X. Give me the translation of those coordinates. You get it. You multiply, and then you say this thing. You say, man, after you do this, you do this thing. What is this thing? You're going to why you're not showing it? Why? I don't know. You know, because this need just debugging. This thing need debugging, and how I can debug this? How I can debug this? I will debug this if I always tell to you what to return. And I say you always return when the left side X and the Y side of the S is inside this point. And this thing, this position, this thing. Why the UV X dot X position square right? I need to make this. How I can make this happen? How I can make this thing happen? The UV dot Y is less than position square right. How this can be positioned? How this thing can be positioned? How? Can I know if the limits are well defined? You know how I can know if this code is being translated the way I want to be translated? Because I can set the dot in the two positions. Look how this works. This works when I do this thing. This works when I do this thing. This works when I say, man, I want to know the point that I think this point is. Okay. And this point is what point? This point is what point? If I translate this thing, this is not going to happen. So I need to evaluate with the thing that I believe is the thing. Show me that thing. Look, this point is this point. And this point is the... Oh, look at this. Here is an error. I didn't set the definition properly. Why I didn't set the definition properly? If it's just an increment. And what coordenada es esta? What coordenada es esta? This coordenada is this coordenada. Why is this? Look at this. Look, we need to evaluate points. We need to evaluate points in programs. Look at this. Evaluation at 0. Why is this square not well defined? Evaluation at 0, square at 1. I made mistakes. Maybe it's because I set this thing to this and I don't need to say that thing to this. There is a mistake here. There's an error that I'm not seeing. Okay, if I say this and this to 0, why you're using 0 to? You need to. Why you're setting 0? You need to set this to this. 0 to this, 0 is to this, and then 0 is to what? 1 is to this. Look at this. 0 and 1 en coordenada. Coordenada es igual a 0. Coordenada es igual a 0. Look, if its coordenada es igual a 0. It's equal. Look at this. I save the same and it's the same. So it means that if I say this draw, this will draw. Yeah? This will draw. No, this wouldn't. Why? Why you wouldn't? Why you wouldn't? Why you wouldn't? Why you? Because sorry, man. Because I didn't set the parameters well. Maybe. I don't know why this thing didn't approaching the extremes. Did we do? This is what I need to do. No necessary. If I translate the coordinates, then this is going to be translated again, and this thing doesn't going to work. Didn't going to work. But what? I need to set this parameter. Can I say this same thing, but in other words? Copy this thing and paste it there. I'm pasting it. And what I obtain is this quality. Is another but I can look at this. I can say, man, replicate this thing. And this thing happen. Is the increment what I'm is the increment really is the increment? No. Yeah, it's the increment, just the increment. You say the position and you say how you want to increment. Increment what? Extremo. What you going to do? Yeah, this thing's working. I say this thing work. How I can make this thing working? How I can say the increment of the thing? I can say in the increment of the thing when I do what? There is a mistake here. I'm not visualizing. I need to set another interval inside the interval. Show me how to use the interval inside the interval. This thing need to be equal to this thing. Evaluation 0 vendría a ser esta cosa está por fuera. Evaluation 0 es igual a coordenada. Esta vuelta es igual a esta vuelta. Porque yo entonces estoy haciendo esto. Si yo puedo hacer, ese es el extremo inferior. Entonces si este es el extremo inferior, derecha. Uy, mire, es que si esto, ahí está el error. This is left. If this is left, you're going to do this. This is right, you're going to do this. Ahí está. Ya seteamos el cuadro grande, ¿cierto? Entonces pille. Pille, ya seteamos un cuadro grande. ¿Para qué es ese cuadro grande? Ese cuadro grande Es únicamente para eficiencia, parce. ¿Por qué? Porque si yo tengo ese cuadro grande, yo sé que ese cuadro se va a pintar ahí. Pero ahora yo no quiero ese cuadro pintado. ¿Por qué no quiero ese cuadro pintado? Porque quiero pintar letras. Yo quiero escribir. Lo primero que quiero hacer es pintar palabras y escribir. Quiero pintar esas palabras. Quiero pintar esas palabras bien definidas. Porque si yo conozco las posiciones de esas palabras, las posiciones de cómo se forman esas palabras en código, un significado realista, yo tengo un significado que yo puedo hacer. Es algo que yo puedo hacer. Yo puedo pintar, yo puedo hacer que explote. ¿Sí me entiendes? Estamos a lograr lo que está haciendo acá. Estamos aquí, pille. Estamos seteando el cuadro grande. ¿Sí veo? Llegamos hasta aquí. Ahora vamos a llegar hasta acá, afuera. Entonces esto de aquí, esto de aquí, se va, se va, se va hasta aquí. Hasta aquí y hasta aquí. ¿Cierto? Yo quiero que esta vuelta explote. Y yo le voy a mostrar cómo hago para que esta vuelta explote. ¿Cómo hago para que esta vuelta explote? Mire. Si esta vuelta explota... este código está regular. Si este código... Esto siempre pinta, o sea que esto siempre retorna algo. Aquí siempre tenemos un retorno. Ahora yo quiero que me pinte más cuadrados. Pínteme más cuadrados en diferentes posiciones. Pínteme la A. La A, ¿qué vendría a ser? La A vendría a ser un conjunto de puntos, ¿cierto? Entonces usted va a evaluar ese conjunto de puntos, ¿cierto? Usted va a evaluar. ¿Sabe? Podríamos meter esto en cuadros, luego otro en otro cuadro, luego otro en otro cuadro, luego en otro. Y así así es como usted tiene la eficiencia. ¿Sí pilla? Así es como usted tiene la eficiencia. La eficiencia de que esta cosa produzca más rápido elementos, que evalúe, que haga que compare, que haga el pum, el tuco. Wait, if I can make the thing able to compare faster and more descriptive in how to enable the behavior I need to behave, I need to obtain in order to qualify and define the reality that I want to use in the present time, I can modulate and explain a new reality. I, 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 I know that I could change the definition. I know that I can change the definition. I know that I can change. And how I can change it? Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. If you're inside this square, draw this square. Because this is always going to pain. If this is always going to pain, you're going to make this square happen. Yeah, you're going to make this happen. If no, you're going to make that happen. Okay. Just that thing happen when I do what? Make a lot of squares. A lot of squares. And what? Yeah, I'm bounded the square. I'm bounding the square. This is the left button bound of the square, the biggest square. And I need the biggest square. I need a bigger square, and this bigger square is going to be positioned. It's going to be positioned a little higher than the square that we already defined. Yeah. And how this thing is going to be built? This thing is going to be built by just adding a little. What is a little? I just need to add a little. How much is a little? I need to add a little to this place. But like a little, just a little in the y. So I need to add a little in the y. So I say 0.1. Yep. Yep. Nope. 0 and 0.1. Sorry. Sorry, what happened? Is that this thing?